has happened. Let's get into the game, Andre.
All right. As you said, Ohana, I'm really looking forward to this. It's a Terran versus Zerg, probably one of my favorite matchups, if not my favorite matchup.
Terran and Zerg.
I play Terran. I played Protoss.
You play Protoss too, but like you've just played Terran last season. You're playing Zerg a lot this season.
No, I played Protoss last season. Remember?
Oh, well, you played every race last season.
Yeah, that's true. You're right.
It's really hard.
It's hard to keep up with me sometimes, Fred.
I look at you, I look at TLO, and I'm like, what race are these guys playing today? And I'm like, that's not fair. TLO's been playing Zerg for a while.
Yeah. But let's go ahead and introduce our players. In the top left-hand position, as the blue Zerg, it is Dongraegu.
And over in the bottom right from Team TSL, it is Polt, the GSL Super Tournament champion. I think he's won the highest prize pool to date for a single person in one tournament, which was $100,000 in GSL Super Tournament. The only thing that will ever come close is the WCS that will be happening later in November this year. In Shanghai, where I think first place gets $100K as well. $100,000. Wow. Andre, what would you do with $100,000?
I have no clue. I know what I'd do. Probably bank.
That's right. You and every other pro player. I'm going to put it to the bank. We asked Major what he would do with the $2,000 he won for 2 days of play. And he's like, just going to go to the bank. I'm like, oh.
No, I actually know exactly what I would do with it. I would buy my own production studio. I know it's not enough, but I would invest in
Gretorp Star League.
I would. I mean, I would make
the GSL. Whoa!
Dun dun dun. Great Tech turns into Gretorp.
Oh. It's the Gretorp player.
Gretorp Tech. That's what it's gonna be.
Will it be able to stream over 240p?
Debatable.
No.
Debatable.
Well, then I don't know if I'll be able to watch your league either.
Hey, it's cool, man.
JK, yeah. I got jokes. Guys, this is Ohana, and Polt is skipping his second depot to go for a command center.
Me gusta.
Wow.
I like this.
I like this too.
I think it's the right play to, or the right way to play this, especially against a player like Dongraegu.
Cutting corners.
Yeah, I mean, at this high level, you have to cut corners. You have to say my opponent isn't going something like one base. They're going for probably a 15 hatchery. In that case, I can go ahead and take this orbital command center, or at least the command center. It's a very safe bet. I mean, 99% of the time, Dongraegu is not going to be going 15 hatch. Or excuse me, is not going to be going something like a 10 pool. So that's completely fine.
It's calculated risk. Yes. It's calculated, Andre.
Calculated.
And I mean, Polt hasn't scouted a lick of his opponent, and DRG, to be fair, hasn't really seen anything. He saw a barracks. Or saw a Marine, so he knows a barracks is out. But the Marine is also positioned at his natural, so that means Polt's not proxying two barracks. So that kind of information gives DRG enough comfort, and there's enough respect between these two players. They are playing on the Korean server, guys, and this is played 20 minutes ago. This is literally like as fresh can be, and that's a saying that we overuse, but it's rings true, especially for this series.
I want to show you exactly what just happened in this bottom middle. It's very super minor, but it's still something to note. See this Overlord? It's around 60 hit points about 20 seconds ago. Dongraegu has not checked if there's an expansion yet. Do you know why? It's because he knows that if he goes out here, Polt is actually going to come in here with Marines. And what Polt is doing is purposely not putting any Marines down here so the Overlord would have came. And then he actually sent his Marines down to try to catch it. It wasn't there because Dongraegu is intelligent and doesn't want to waste that. Instead, he uses a single Zergling to actually scout out that orbital command center. And he just verified what happened. So really, really cool play. Bunker going down in a very interesting position, Frodan. Look at this, on top of the high ground.
Does he sense something? What indication? Is he just, how does he know?
So,
because DRG is making a round of Zerglings.
Yeah, what he's saying to himself is, let me go ahead and place it all the way on the top ground. This is super safe. And the reason why it's super safe is because he hasn't gone ahead and scouted anything. Yeah. When you don't scout anything on the map, you don't actually take these really risky positions in the bunker. That's why we don't see it up here and we don't see it over here. Even though this isn't as risky, there are some roach run-bys that are actually very, very powerful.
That's right.
And do a lot of damage.
And protecting a ramp is a lot better. Sure, some people tuck it behind their minerals so that way they can, I guess, get some good position and use the command center. But what DRG does, or sorry, what Polt doesn't know is DRG has a band of Zerglings over by the fourth base of Polt ready to run in, and Polt has to have the reflexes, although I don't doubt him for a second.
Look at this. I mean, everything's perfect. And all he has to do is lift off his orbital command center, and he doesn't have to worry about a thing. He gets a supply depot. And look, he loses just a single uncancelled supply depot, rather. But from here, he's just going to lift off. Very minimal losses for all those Zerglings that he's making. In the meantime, Hellions are actually going to be able to take out one of the queens.
Yes, if the queen is now transfused, it's 42 energy. A great pickoff. Oh, and now 3 Hellions can one-shot the drones collectively. And DRG, he was expanding to an early third, but his economic plans have been stalled, at least for the meanwhile. And this is all while he's getting harassed. So Polt is himself struggling a little bit economically compared to what he'd set up for the mid-game. Overall, though, a good series of exchanges, and both players are multitasking considerably. As you can see, DRG already trying to establish his pattern queen opening. He loves going like 6 queens, although he did lose one of them. You can guarantee that DRG is going to go into heavy macro mode soon.
Yeah, DRG, if you want to characterize his DVT, it's always a late layer, but you really focus on getting your drone count and your queen count up as best as possible. And from there, he actually tries to deal with Terran as it comes. 2 Spore Crawlers are going to go down at the third base. You can see this one Banshee is going to be able to cancel this one over here. Maybe not, actually. Look at that. That one queen actually saves the day, and he sees, okay, you have enough energy to actually transfuse. I'm not going to go ahead and keep attacking that. Again, a Zergling run-by is going to come in here, but does very, very minimal damage. Say 0 damage. And as those Hellions are able to chase everything away, Hellions obviously very powerful in this early game stage, and you're seeing why right now.
Yeah, DRG is now just going into straight drone mode, but he still has enough Zerglings to kind of control the map and spot the Banshees. And yeah, spotting Banshees, even though you might lose a Zergling too, is actually extremely valuable in terms of your queen positioning. DRG also connecting the bases between his main and natural. Polt picking a nice spot to park his Banshees while he worries about his infrastructure back at home, where he's transitioning into just standard bio into, just I guess, bio tank. And Polt's one of these guys that maybe doesn't necessarily utilize a lot of mech because he loves being mobile. He loves going bio, heavy marauders.
That's right.
I mean, Polt was one of the first marauder kings.
Yeah, you know, people are saying mech is just vastly superior to bio at this point. And I think it still is a stylistic thing. I mean, I've seen a lot of players actually still utilize bio pretty well, but these Zerglings aren't going to help things out for the bio. Look at that, taking every single one of the Hellions out. That's actually pretty big.
Yeah.
Because now the bio can't take free reign on the map. They need to actually start from their side of the map, which is unfortunate. You want that bio to be in the middle of the map just so that you can recede the creep as much as possible. Very nicely done by Dongraegu.
And not just that, but Hellions out in the middle map help you secure your third significantly in terms of controlling the watchtowers and being able to track movement.
Yeah, that's right.
Because then you can position correctly. Although it is Ohana, a map where the third base through the backdoor rocks of your natural is a little bit more convenient to take. So I don't think that's the end of the world. Polt now is just in straight marine tank medevac production and double engineering, but very standard just to set up a strong 2-2 timing if he wants to go for that in the mid game. DRG though, he's not going for mutas. A lot of times people say DRG just loves having mutas, multitasking, taking out his opponent, but he said he's going for infestors, which is much more stable, and I like that because Ohana, I don't feel like mutas are very effective.
Yeah, I've been saying for a while that I'm not a big proponent of mutas. I think they're very clunky, they cost too much, and they come out at a time where you really can't harass. So
in general or on this map?
In general. I think they're just not nearly as effective as infestors. Infestors have the ability to tick up into hive really quickly. Mutas, they don't really. I mean, you're not going to put on a lot of pressure, and you're not going to defend against a lot of pushes with just straight up mutas. Yes, you'll be able to stop a lot of the harassment, but I think infestors are far superior.
Well, we'll see how that comes into play. Polt's still trying to move out and use his Banshee. They don't have Cloak. Instead, just going for the regular 2 Banshees, just harass here and there. I love the fact that he's keeping the repairs on the Banshees as well. Just trying to maximize their utility. DRG in full production mode while trying to expand a 4th base. If Polt can deny this base, it's just a minor poke. That's huge, because then Polt has time to set up his own 3rd base. But the Zergling trying to go for a surround. Polt trying to wrap around and try to make sure to loop off creep, but does get surrounded and forced to evacuate. Great defense from DRG.
That's right. And 2 Banshees going into the right-hand side, just denying this base over here. But everything is situating to a normal TVZ play. I mean, we've had a lot of engagement so far, Frodan, and I think a lot of lesser Zergs and Terrans would have actually cracked under the micro and counter micro, but these 2 players showing why they are world-class players. They're pretty even going into this stage where normally, you know, I hate to say it, but in the foreign scene, we normally see a lot of discrimination already right now. A lot of times Terrans have a very large advantage, or Zergs have a very large advantage. Neither for both of these 2 players.
Yeah, it's pretty even. DRG's economy is very healthy. And Zerg's economy that's healthy is just equally as scary, especially in the hands of someone that's as good at the microing as DRG is. He's also going for some Baneling incorporation, which we've been seeing out of Marl last series as well, and as well as tagging on things like Baneling speed and a couple of carapace upgrades. Meanwhile, Polt, does he have any 2-2 timing available to him? Tanks are very good against Infestors if they get in position and Infestors can't approach. But we've been seeing more Zergs be aggressive with their Infested Terrans and say, well, I can disable your ability to draw fire onto my Infestors or my Zerglings or Banelings if you just send out Infested Terran eggs and tank the initial shots.
Yeah. I'm sorry, there's like so many things going across the map that I'm trying to catch because these two players are honestly multitasking at insane levels.
Yeah, DRG playing at over 350 APM, catches a big pack of Marines that Polt was not paying attention to and does end up killing all of them. That's a nice little win.
So Banshee, in the meantime, doing some significant damage over to this fourth base, killing that one queen. You can see kill count. Oh my gosh, 14 kills so far. The queens will come over here to save the day. Goodbye. Banshee just explodes into the air, but the other Banshee over on the right-hand side still doing significant denying
she's mourning,
damage.
man. Oh, the Banshee!
5. It's good.
She's like, not now, man. I'm trying to mourn my partner. And the queen's like, no, I just want to tell you a secret. And then, Andre, queen shoots it down.
And there were none.
Wow. Heartless. How could you be so heartless?
Polt is pushing out. This is the 2-2 standard timing. But, you know, we don't see mutas out in the field, so this is a little bit tougher to actually justify. A lot of times you'll actually just take your fourth base and then just sit back a little bit more until you're actually max 200, and then push out. Although he is maxed out right now. We're seeing a very aggressive Polt, by the way. That was really, really scared for him, I would think. But a counterattack is actually coming in, Frodan. That's going to be really, really nice. Look at this. There's no bunker in position. And the supply depot was let down.
A huge run by for DRG. That's going to put Polt on the clock. It might rush him. It might force his attention somewhere else in case he can't pay attention to his tanks. But Polt's also sieging the fourth base from DRG. The Banelings and the Infestors are getting into position as well. But DRG's backing off. The run by has been, I guess, settled at this point. Yep. And Polt now has free reign over that fourth base. DRG's given up a lot of position. He's going around, Andre.
Yes, I like this decision, actually. Going around is the correct decision. You don't want to be attacking into this line. Try to reposition all of those Marines so that the fungals will be a lot more effective. And here, this counterattack is going to be so powerful, but there's already siege tanks in positioning. I might have to take that back, Frodan. This might be really, really good for Polt.
But the walls come crashing down. The Bangs are rolling straight into the first wave of Marines for defense. And now DRG has Infested Terrans to really wreak havoc. Polt is coming back.
Wow.
And DRG, he can't really afford to lose all these units. These Infestors are trapped. They represent so much. That's 9 Infestors. How much damage can DRG do to buy himself time? He's also making his Greater Spire back at home, trying to buy enough time for this Hive Tech to really kick in. DRG also trying to catch some units. He does land a fungal on the bottom of the ramp, but there's no real amount of energy left. And DRG is now just relegated to just making Zerglings back at home.
Another scan? He doesn't have a scan? Oh my god. Oh, there it is. Okay, every single one of the Infestors go down, it looks like. Except one of them. One sole survivor. Let's look at the income tag very quickly. 42 Harvesters to 72. Dongraegu obviously ahead, but he does need to remake those Infestors. Instead, he's actually making Broodlords. I actually kind of like this decision. This is going to give him a lot of backbone to his defense, because as Terran, you really don't want to be pushing into Broodlords just for the fact that there might be Infestors out in the field. As we can see, actually, Dongraegu was pretty good at keeping his other Infestors over there on the right-hand side. But for the most part, I mean, he's doing a great job. Counterattacking style is so good against what Polt is doing. I mean, these single-filed attacks just cannot keep up.
Forcing scans is a pretty big deal as well. As you can see, Polt, his supply is low, but that's deceiving because he is missing so many workers. His army count is actually higher than his opponent. But DRG, this is what he's so good at, buying time, drawing attention away. At the same time, I'm thinking about Polt's games in GSL, especially like on Cloud Kingdom, of how he's just so scrappy. Even if he's on one base, he's able to still make plays because his army control is phenomenal. We saw the splits on Entomb Valley. Can he make magic happen again? But there are 4 full energy infestors waiting at this 5th base, and there are also some Broodlords. DRG's macro is out of control, Andre.
Yes, sir. And these Broodlords are just going to be the big sign that says do not enter. Big on Siege actually happens, and these infestors actually get picked off, so he needs to be really, really careful. But for the most part, I think there's just too many Broodlords. They cannot deal with this.
Yeah.
Siege tanks are forced to just get up and get out.
The counterattacks have been too successful. Oh no, so many tanks getting caught by fungals. Andre, that was 7 tanks that dropped, and all of a sudden Pulse supply dips under triple digits. That is so much damage that Pulse just withstood because he took damage on his economy and his army. And now his ability to hold position is almost nil. He's got 2 tanks left. His Medifacts are out of energy. Every stim that comes from this point hurts him just as much as a fungal at this stage because you're not able to really keep your army sustain is so poor.
That's right. And again, we have the classic Polt splits, but I don't think it's going to be enough. There's just not enough material, as you were saying. Below triple digits, Frodan, that's not going to be too good. Small little Marine Squadron going to the middle left-hand corner. But it should be cleaned up by these Zerglings. I don't think they should stay alive there. They go down. But for the most part, I mean, we can see Polt is just not in control at all.
Yeah,
He's struggling.
Polt doesn't really even have that strong of an economy left. His main base is mined out. His natural is drying up. Never able to take a 4th base. He's dedicating almost everything he has solely into Marines. He does need more SCVs. The mules are great. When you're on 23, it's just really tough. Now, the big thing that he can capitalize is that Broodlords and Infestors do lose a lot of mobility, and that's what Polt is trying to counterattack with a triple drop. This is the kind of stuff that he needs to do to really buy himself time, if he can buy himself enough time.
That's right. Marines and Marauders are going to take out this the base that you were just talking about. Obviously, counterattacks, I think, are the best option for Polt, but still, it's going to be really difficult. I mean, is this really a winnable fight? Is there anything that Polt can get out of his basically 2 mining bases that defends against Infestor Broodlords? And I want to actually say no, Frodan. This drop is going to be cleaned up as well. Zergling's just coming in by the dozens. And just as I say that, Orbital Command Center goes down at the bottom left-hand side. You know, Frodan, I don't know if Polt can actually hold this.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to have Broodlords, but to have 5 almost full energy Infestors and your base so open at this point, it's really tough to be able to do anything. Although Polt's trying to kite the Corruptors as best he can, these Vikings represent so much of his stability back at home. The double drop has already done everything. It took out the Greater Spire, so we can buy him time. Polt also fighting for more position. The Marines are splitting very well. Tank's really not doing anything, but DRG just has so many units. He's got an incredible bank as well. How is Polt going to hold off 2 waves of Zerg army, let alone this first one?
And here we go, the big stim in, but it's not going to be enough. Like you can see the Zerglings and Banelings just crashing on all of the Terran army. He's just going to back up because he doesn't want to actually attack into Thors.
No
but that's
need.
just a formality, man. Wow. That is literally just a formality. Dongraegu knows he has it in the bag. GG gets called out by Polt, and DRG takes game 1.
Great back and forth, lots of skirmishes around the map, but DRG showing why he is just an amazing mid-game player, because that timing from Polt, like how he's able to do everything, is always really scary, as any Zerg. But the fact is you can get Polt to commit 90% of the push and not go the last 10 in terms of attacking and go all the way back and buy time for your Greater Spire to come out and protect and still have enough Infestor energy to stall for time. He made a lot happen with very little with DRG, and that's kind of like the minimalist style that really gets him really far.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think Polt played an exceptional game. He made very few mistakes, but the one mistake he did do was not go home in time. I felt like you normally snipe that top left-hand position, but you're scanning the whole time for positioning of your opponent's army. And once you see the counterattack going, you leave like 5 Marauders there, you tell it to snipe the hatchery, and then from there you actually back up. And that 20 seconds is all you need to get out of position completely. And those fungals, as I was saying, like Marines going up a ramp, it's just a beautiful, beautiful sight for any Zerg. Those fungals were amazing, bought him so much time, and after that he really doesn't have any continuation pushes.
Game number 1 was brought to you by GoToMyPC. Go to nsl.tv/p/GoToMyPC for a special offer to do cool things like remote PC access, remote privacy, file transfer. All these things are possible and more when you go to MyPC. Guys, we'll be back with game number 2 between DRG versus Polt. What will happen? We don't know, so stay tuned. We'll be back in just a minute.